First of all, welcome, and thank you for joining us on this finally nice, sunshiny autumn Wisconsin morning. It's about time. My name is Bryce Lord. I am the business manager for the Helen Bader Institute for Nonprofit Management at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And breathe, that's a long name. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. If you didn't notice, there is coffee and tea and pastries and things out there. Take advantage of them. There's going to be a lot, and we're going to pay for them whether you eat them or not. So dig in. There's also some information out there on various programs that we offer as an educational organization, focusing on nonprofit management, and I encourage you to check that out. What else? Oh, I'll remind you again before we leave, but if you parked in the Grand Avenue parking ramp, make sure you take your parking ticket to the desk by the elevator for a validation to get a discount on your parking. We can't do it for free, but we can help a little bit. So this is the fall edition of our professional development series, where we as an educational organization look at what it means to work in the nonprofit sector with all of its intricacies and craziness, and what we can do to help you do what you do better. Today we are talking about fundraising and philanthropy and fund development. As we discuss earning the ask and have a conversation into the fine art of fundraising. And it is a fine art laced with science. And we'll kind of talk about what that means. I'm going to turn it over to Jason and our incredibly attractive panel as we dig further into this. We'll talk again at the end. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Bryce. So, quick show of hands. Whoa, hands. How many folks have been in fundraising for, say, 0 to 3 years? Okay. How about the 3 to 5 group? 5 to 10? Okay, veterans, it's your turn. 10 plus years. Awesome. All right. So we've got a great section here of all different experiences. So I think we're going to touch on a lot of things today. And I think today's panel in particular, we've got a lot of experience here, so we're going to look at it from a couple different vantage points. We're going to look at it from the frontline fundraiser. We're going to look at it from the foundation side. We've got a data guy here. He's going to get really geeky on the numbers and the trends, which is awesome. And ideally, we'll cover a lot of things in between. I mean, the university's done a great job with their colloquium series of looking at some of the research and trends in the sector. I think today, ideally, we're going to give you some tactics that you can take out into the field that can allow what you're doing to do it even better. So real quick, I'll introduce myself, and then I'd like to introduce the panel, and then we'll jump right in. As Bryce said, my name's Jason Perry. I am the Vice President of Development and Communications at Penfield Children's Center. Actually, yesterday was my 5-year anniversary, which is crazy. Yeah, time flies. So prior to Penfield, I actually worked at Marquette University, and prior to that, I was in development at WUWM 89.7 Milwaukee Public Radio. It's a mouthful. So I also get to teach the nonprofit fundraising course within the Helen Bader Institute. So that is a graduate course in the spring. So we're ramping up for another term here shortly. So what I'd like to do is have the panel briefly introduce themselves. We'll start with Maria.
Okay. My name is Maria Lopez-Vento, and I always say it, I'm program officer. Well, I'm program officer, yes, but maybe a jack of all trades at the foundation. I've been there for 25 plus years, have had different roles within the foundation since the beginning years there, and now I'm vice president of grants and impact investing, and that's just recently been a change since I oversee all of our grant portfolio, aging, youth, our workforce, arts, community initiatives, and then of course there's lots of things that you all don't always know that we're doing, but we're doing some work internationally as well. And glad to know that Robert Tobani's here, so if you have questions about that, you can always ask him. But glad to be here. Thank you.
My name is Nancy Seidl Nelson, and I just this past year started my own consulting firm, SPI Consulting. SPI stands for Strategy, Purpose, and Impact. So after 25-ish or so years in the Milwaukee area and a number of nonprofits, I pretty much figured out if you don't have a solid strategy and you and your board don't really clearly understand your purpose, you're not gonna have much impact. So that's what my passion is, and that's what I do when I work with my clients. So my experience is at Children's Hospital Foundation for 10 years, of Marquette University, but I've also been the one-person shop in the large agency that has a ton of employees, but nobody understands what you do. So I understand that pain that you all have. I'm also the current board president for our local association of fundraising professionals chapter here in Southeast Wisconsin, and Bryce said I was allowed to make a shameless plug for that. We have 325 members. It's a great resource for you, and it does help if you're kind of there out feeling like you're out there on your own. It's a great opportunity for networking, for education. We have mentoring programs, and check us out because it's a great enhancement for your career.
Good morning, everyone. Sounds like I actually am picking up the microphone a little bit. My name is Dan Pfeiffer. I am with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Milwaukee. I am their development database manager. I have been in that role for 2 years, handling all things data for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Milwaukee's fundraising arms. Before that, I was with Marquette University for 5 years, most of that as an information and data services specialist, and before that, I was with Quad Graphics here in Milwaukee, where I was part of their marketing data analytics team, and we worked with a number of clients on a, I don't want to say ad hoc, but basically on a basis where they dictated how much we would work with their fundraising data, and some of my clients there were nonprofits, including the Boy Scouts of America and the International Children's Fund. In all of those roles, data and analytics have been key.